What if I told you there's a lake in Australia that's bright pink, like someone straight up dumped Pepto-Bismol into the ocean? And it stays that color 24/7, no matter how you look at it, or if you scoop it into a bucket and walk away. Or a massive hole in the desert that's been burning like the actual door to hell for over 50 years, with nobody 100% sure how it started? These aren't movie CGI, Photoshop fails, or some viral hoax. They're real places on Earth right now, looking faker than fiction. In the next 20 minutes, we're counting down 15 spots that seem straight up impossible, but are 100% legit. Same planet, real time. From a lake that turns into colorful bubble wrap every summer, to a glacier that bleeds red from a 2 million-year-old trapped sea. Number 1 is so wild, scientists study it as a window into alien life. If you're into mind-blowing nature that makes you go, no way, you're in the right place. Let's roll. Number 15. Spotted Lake, Osoyoos, British Columbia, Canada. Most of the year, it's just a regular little lake in a desert valley. Come summer, the water evaporates and boom, it turns into hundreds of distinct circular pools, packed edge to edge like the world's trippiest bubble wrap. Yellows, greens, blues, all from minerals, magnesium sulfate, calcium, sodium sulfates, separating and hardening into colorful rings as the water dries. The ridges get solid enough to walk on, though you're not supposed to. To the Syilx Okanagan Nation, who call it Kliluk, this place has been sacred for centuries with serious healing vibes. During WWI, the minerals got mined for ammunition. In 2001, the nation bought the land back to protect it forever. Nature running its own annual chemistry experiment, right on schedule. Wild, right? Number 14, Door to Hell, Darvaza, Turkmenistan. Right in the middle of the Karakum Desert sits a 230-foot wide crater that's been burning non-stop since the 1970s. At night, you can see the glow for miles. Up close, the heat hits you hard and it roars like a giant stadium-sized blowtorch. The usual story says Soviet geologists drilling for gas in 1971 accidentally collapsed the ground, then lit the escaping gas on fire, expecting it to burn out in weeks. It's been raging for over 50 years instead. Problem is, Turkmenistan has zero official records of exactly when or why it happened. Even the first guy who descended into it in 2013 heard different timelines from locals. For years, it was a tourist spot with fences and campsites. Then in 2022, officials got worried about wasted gas and environmental damage and announced plans to extinguish it. As of right now, state energy folks say the fire has shrunk by roughly 2/3, with just scattered pockets left. Some infrared scans suggest it might finally be dying out. A 50-year fire nobody can fully explain might be ending while this video is still up. Check recent photos before you book that flight. Number 13. Lake Hillier, Middle Island, Western Australia. This lake is a uniform, opaque bubblegum pink. Permanently. Not a sunset trick, not a filter. Scoop the water into a bottle, carry it away, and it's still pink. First recorded in 1802, but scientists didn't nail the cause until a 2015 genetic survey. It's a mix of salt-loving microbes, especially one bacterium that dominates the DNA. The water is about 10 times saltier than the ocean, exactly the hostile environment these organisms love, and it's completely harmless to swim in. Nearby pink lakes have already lost their color from mining and drought. Heavy rains in 2022 even diluted Hillier's pink a bit, though scientists expect it to bounce back. A bright pink lake that stayed that way for over 200 years, caused by microbes we only properly identified a decade ago, sitting on an island most people only ever see from a plane window. Looks like a glitch, except glitches don't have ecosystems. Number 12, Lake Natron, Arusha region, Tanzania. The internet loves the story that anything touching this lake instantly turns to stone. Birds and bats frozen mid-flight like statues. It's not quite that dramatic, but the truth is almost as strange. This is an extremely alkaline soda lake with pH above 10, caustic enough to burn skin and eyes. Volcanic ash and minerals from the Rift Valley get concentrated because the lake has no outlet and only loses water through evaporation. Animals that die here don't get petrified, they get mummified. The same sodium carbonate minerals ancient Egyptians used to preserve bodies coat the remains and stop normal decay, leaving lifelike hardened tissue that looks like stone. Despite being basically uninhabitable, this is the single most important breeding site on Earth for lesser flamingos. Their tough legs handle the caustic water, and the lake's hostility keeps most predators away. A place that mummifies what it kills, but protects what it shouldn't be able to support. Nature's wild like that. Number 11. Caño Cristales, Serranía de la Macarena, Colombia. Most of the year, this river in central Colombia looks like any normal clearwater spot in the rainforest. Then for a few weeks between wet and dry seasons, usually July to November, the riverbed explodes into red, yellow, green, blue, and black all at once. The river of 5 colors. It's not algae or pollution. It's a plant called Macarenia clavigera that blooms vivid red only when water levels are perfect, low enough for sunlight to reach the bottom, but still flowing fast enough to keep the plant oxygenated. Too much water and the sun can't get through. Too little and the plant dries out and turns brown. The magic window lasts just a few unpredictable weeks a year. The river sits inside a national park in a region that was off limits for years. Now it's open to tourism, but you still need a licensed guide, a flight to a remote airport, and a boat ride. A river that looks ordinary most of the time then goes full rainbow for a hot minute. Number 10. Marble Caves, Lago General Carrera, Patagonia, Chile. On the border between Chile and Argentina, there's a massive lake split between two countries, and jutting into it is a peninsula of solid marble that's been carved by water for roughly 6,000 years into swirling caverns. You can only reach them by boat or kayak. No roads, no walkways. Paddle straight into chambers of blue, white, and gray stone with light bouncing off the glacial water onto the polished marble ceiling. The lake is fed by glacial meltwater, and the fine rock particles suspended in it give the water its insane saturated blue color. The same optical effect that makes glacial ice look blue. Water levels shift seasonally, so the caves look different depending when you visit. More turquoise in spring when the water's low, deeper blue in summer as melt rises. Declared a Chilean nature sanctuary because the whole system is fragile. A marble cathedral sculpted by glacial water over millennia. Only reachable if you're willing to hop in a small boat and trust 6,000 years of erosion to keep holding its shape. The light isn't coming from the rock. The lake is doing all the work underneath. Number 9. Pamukkale, Denizli Province, Turkey. On a hillside in southwestern Turkey, bright white terraces cascade down like a frozen waterfall. So smooth and glowing, the name literally means cotton castle. They're made of travertine, a form of limestone, built up over hundreds of thousands of years as calcium-rich hot spring water flows downhill and cools. Underground water dissolves limestone, picks up calcium bicarbonate, then when it hits the surface, the CO2 escapes and calcium carbonate crystallizes out, layering up solid white rock. The terraces range from less than a meter to about 6 meters tall and stretch roughly 2,700 meters across a cliff face nearly 200 meters high. More than 2,000 years ago, the ancient Greeks built the spa city of Hierapolis right on top of it. The ruins, theater, necropolis, are still standing above the terraces today. The most famous pool, Cleopatra's Pool, contains ancient Roman columns that toppled into the water during a 7th century earthquake and have been sitting underwater ever since. A hillside that basically built itself into a staircase of white stone over eons, and a civilization that looked at it and said, yeah, let's build a city here and swim in it. Number 8. Zhangye Danxia Landform, Gansu Province, China. In northwestern China, mountains rise out of the landscape striped in red, orange, yellow, green, and blue, like a giant tilted layer cake, the Rainbow Mountains. They cover roughly 500 square kilometers near Zhangye. The colors come from over 24 million years of sediment, layer after layer of sandstone and mineral deposits from when this region was covered by ancient lakes and rivers. Iron oxides for the reds, goethite and limonite for the yellows and oranges. Tectonic forces eventually tilted the flat layers at dramatic angles, exposing the color bands, Then millions of years of wind and water erosion carved the towers, ridges, and ravines we see today. It only became internationally famous recently, basically unknown outside the region until around 2000, when a journalist and a local farmer documented it and the photos spread. UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2010, Global Geopark in 2020. 24 million years to build a mountain range like a layer cake, and it took one newspaper photo 25 years ago for the rest of the world to notice it was there. Number 7. Dragon's Blood Trees, Socotra, Yemen. On a remote island in the Arabian Sea, isolated from the mainland for millions of years, there's a forest of trees shaped like upside-down umbrellas, thick trunks with dense flat crowns spreading across the top. Cut into the bark and the tree bleeds thick, deep red sap that looks unsettlingly like blood. The species, Dracæna cinnabari, is found nowhere else on Earth. The unusual umbrella shape isn't decorative, it's a survival strategy. The wide, flat canopy shades the roots in the arid climate and funnels what little rain and dew exists down to the base where the tree needs it most. The red resin has been traded for centuries as dragon's blood for medicine, dye, and varnish, and Socotri communities still harvest it today. Scientists describe it as a living fossil, a relic of a much older ecosystem that survived only because this island stayed isolated long enough. Socotra has been called the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean for exactly that reason. The trees are currently listed as vulnerable, threatened by climate change and habitat loss. A tree that bleeds red sap, shaped like an umbrella for a reason, existing in exactly one place on the planet because the planet never got the chance to put it anywhere else. Number 6. Fly Geyser, Black Rock Desert, Nevada, USA. In the Nevada desert, a 5-foot mound shoots scalding water continuously into the air, coated in algae so vivid it looks like someone airbrushed a sci-fi prop and left it in the middle of nowhere. Here's the part that throws people off. Nature didn't make this. People did, twice, completely by accident. The first version started in 1916 when residents drilled a well hoping for irrigation water. They hit scalding hot water instead, abandoned the well, but the water kept flowing and built up a mineral cone now called the Wizard. Then in 1964, a geothermal energy company drilled a separate test well on the same property. They found water that wasn't quite hot enough, gave up, and apparently failed to properly cap the hole. Pressurized mineral-rich water has been blasting out ever since, over 60 years. Calcium carbonate keeps building the mound taller every year. Thermophilic algae that thrive in hot, mineral-soaked conditions coat the surface in reds, greens, and oranges. Geologists point out that the mineral transformation happening here, raw dissolved silica turning into solid quartz-like rock, normally takes thousands of years in nature. At Fly Geyser, it's happening in decades, fast enough that scientists can actually watch the process in something close to real time. 2 separate human mistakes, 50 years apart, on the same patch of desert, and the result is a geological feature that looks too saturated and too perfect to be real. It was private land closed to the public until a nonprofit started offering guided tours in 2018. Number 5. Salar de Uyuni, Potosi, Bolivia. In the dry season, this is the largest salt flat on Earth, a blinding white expanse of hexagonal salt crust stretching to the horizon in every direction, the remnant of a prehistoric lake that evaporated thousands of years ago. Then the rain comes, and the entire landscape turns into something else completely. A thin layer of water spreads across the perfectly flat salt, and because the surface is so still, it becomes a giant mirror. The sky reflects perfectly onto the ground. Clouds appear underneath your feet. Visitors describe losing all sense of where the horizon actually is, walking through what looks like the inside of a cloud. Underneath that salt crust sits one of the largest known reserves of lithium on the planet, a fact that has turned this remote stretch of the Bolivian Andes into a flashpoint in the global supply chain for batteries. A place this empty and silent, sitting on top of one of the most fought-over resources of the modern era. For a few weeks a year, when conditions are exactly right, it stops looking like a desert and starts looking like the edge of the atmosphere. Number 4. The Wave Coyote. Buttes North, Arizona-Utah border, USA. Tucked into a remote stretch of the Colorado Plateau, there's a sandstone formation carved into smooth, undulating bands of red, orange, and white that ripple across the rock like frozen waves on an ocean that never existed. It looks less like geology and more like a photograph that's been digitally warped, except it's solid stone you can walk on. The formation took shape over roughly 190 million years from ancient sand dunes compressed into Navajo sandstone, then sculpted by wind and water erosion into these flowing cross-bedded patterns. Reaching it requires a serious hike across exposed desert terrain with no marked trail, and access is so tightly controlled that visitors have to win a lottery permit just for the chance to go. Only a small number of people are allowed in per day, specifically because the rock is fragile enough that foot traffic alone could damage formations that took nearly 200 million years to form. A landscape that looks like it was generated by a computer, that you can only see in person if you win the permit lottery first. Number 3. Reed Flute Cave, Guilin, Guangxi, China. Beneath the karst hills outside Guilin, there's a limestone cave over 100 million years old, filled with stalactites and stalagmites that look like stone curtains, frozen waterfalls, and forests turned to rock. What makes it different is the lighting. Sometime in the modern era, the cave was outfitted with colored lights threaded through the chambers, and now the natural rock formations glow in shifting purples, greens, blues, and golds, reflected endlessly in an underground lake that runs through part of it. The cave gets its name from the reeds that grow near its entrance. Locals historically use them to make flutes. There are even inscriptions written on the cave walls in ink dating back to the Tang dynasty more than 1,000 years ago, left by visitors exploring the same cave back when it was lit by nothing but torches. A formation that took 100 million years of dripping water to build, decorated by visitors 1,000 years ago, and lit up in the modern era to look less like a cave and more like the inside of a different planet. Number 2. Giant's Causeway, County Antrim, Northern Ireland. Along the northern coast of Northern Ireland, around 40,000 interlocking basalt columns rise out of the sea, packed together so precisely that most of them are perfect hexagons, fitted together like cobblestones laid by some impossibly patient mason. From above it looks engineered. It isn't. The columns formed around 60 million years ago when intense volcanic activity sent lava pouring across this region. As that thick lava cooled and contracted, it cracked into a network of evenly spaced fractures. The same physical process you can sometimes see in dried mud or cooling glass, just on a massive geological scale with enough uniformity that the columns lock together almost seamlessly. Local folklore long held that the causeway was built by a giant named Finn McCool, supposedly constructing a path across the sea to fight a rival giant in Scotland. There's a matching basalt formation on the Scottish island of Staffa that legend says was the other end of his bridge. Geologists confirmed it's volcanic. The story persisted anyway, because a coastline that looks deliberately built deserves a story about who built it, even after science explains exactly how it built itself. Number 1. Blood Falls, Taylor Glacier, McMurdo Dry Valleys, Antarctica. From the face of a glacier in one of the driest, coldest places on the planet, a stream of deep red liquid pours out across the white ice. It looks exactly like what the name suggests, a wound in the landscape, like the continent itself is bleeding. For nearly a century after it was first documented in 1911, nobody could fully explain where the color came from. The early theory was algae. The real answer, confirmed by researchers including geomicrobiologist Jill McCookie, is older and stranger. Roughly 2 million years ago, this valley was a fjord connected to the ocean. As the climate cooled and the glacier advanced, an ancient pocket of seawater got sealed beneath the ice, cut off completely from sunlight and the atmosphere. Trapped there for 2 million years, that water became saturated with iron leached from the surrounding bedrock. When it finally seeps out through a crack in the glacier today and hits the oxygen and open air, the iron oxidizes almost instantly. It rusts. The red isn't blood, and it isn't paint. It's iron meeting air for the first time in 2 million years. turning the same color as a rusted nail the second it touches the atmosphere. The most remarkable part isn't the color at all. Inside that ancient brine, researchers found active microbial life that has survived for 2 million years in total darkness, without oxygen, without sunlight, surviving on iron and sulfur chemistry instead. Scientists studying extreme environments have pointed to bloodfalls as one of the closest things on Earth to what life might look like trapped beneath the ice on Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's moon Enceladus. A glacier that appears to bleed, water that's been sealed away since before humans existed, and something alive in it the entire time, waiting in the dark for 2 million years until a crack in the ice let it finally touch air again. 15 places, all real, all unedited, sitting on this planet right now. Which one would you actually want to see in person? Drop your pick in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. And where are you watching from? US, UK, Australia, or somewhere else? Let me know down there too. If this kind of wild Earth stuff is your speed, smash that like button, subscribe for more mind-bending videos, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. What other crazy natural wonders should we cover? Hit me with ideas. Thanks for hanging out. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.